and welcome to Long Live the Queen, where we talk about the women who made history. And by we, I mean the royal we, because it's just me. Today, we're going to talk about Marjory Bruce.
One day we will be remembered.
Marjory Bruce was born in 1296. Her father was Robert the Bruce, the not yet Earl and not yet King of Scotland. Her mother was Isabella of Mar, daughter of the leader of Clan Mar. But her mother died in childbirth, having Marjory. When Marjory was about 6 years old, her father remarried, this time to the 13-year-old Elizabeth de Burgh. She was more like a gift to solidify an alliance. Ooh. She was the daughter of a friend and ally of the King of England. He hadn't remarried since the death of his first wife. He's said to have been very in love with her. Marjory's stepmother was just 7 years older than her. At 6 and 13, they were more like playmates than mother and daughter. 2 years after her father remarried, her grandfather died, making her father the leader of the Bruce clan. And just 2 years into that job, there was trouble. All we really know for sure is that Robert the Bruce met with John Comyn inside a church. And while there, Robert killed John. Word on the street was that they were meeting to figure out which one of them would be king if they united to rebel against King Edward. That maybe the deal was that one of them would be king in exchange for the other one's land. But whatever went down, they did not come to an agreement, and Robert the Bruce killed John Comyn, leaving Bruce the last man standing with any real claim to the throne. Scotland, true to her history, was still in her powerful men fighting to the death era, so he killed a man in a church. That wasn't a great look. But he was good at war and might unite a country, so let's go. So Marjory's father was named King of Scots when she was about 10, making her Princess Marjory of Scotland. This didn't last long, though. Just after the coronation, Bruce was under attack by the Prince of Wales. Bruce sent his 10-year-old daughter and his 17-year-old wife and his sisters, Christina and Mary, 28 and 24 respectively, off to a nearby castle for safety. They were escorted by Robert the Bruce's brother, Niall, sometimes called Nigel. I've also seen it occasionally written as Neil. The nearby castle was run by Marjory's late mother's family. Robert the Bruce didn't win. It was just him and what was left of his supporters. Then it got worse. The Prince of Wales got to the safe castle and it was no longer a safe space. The castle didn't have a choice. They opened the gates, but the medieval girl squad had already left. They didn't get far though. They were captured. The men were killed, along with Robert's brother Niall being hung, drawn, and quartered. The women and girls were taken to London, along with Isabella Macduff, a supporter of Bruce. Mary Bruce and Isabella Macduff had it the worst. They were held in wooden or iron cages, exposed to the elements and to the public, for 4 years. 4 years! Bruce's other sister, Christina, was sent into complete solitary confinement at a Gilbertine abbey. I'm not totally sure why one sister got a cage and one got a nunnery, other than that they were definitely trying to separate the 5 women and girls. Bruce's wife Elizabeth was held under severe conditions of house arrest. Marjory Bruce, only 10, also had a cage built for her. But for some reason, maybe her age, she was instead sent to a convent to be raised by nuns. Their imprisonment lasted 8 years, with all of them getting slightly better accommodations as Robert the Bruce grew stronger and stronger in the north. In 1314, Bruce won the Battle of Bannockburn and had acquired some important hostages. This is the battle at the very end of Braveheart, when Bruce was all, Wallace is gone now, so you should all follow me. He sent Walter Stewart to hash out all the details, but he was going to use these hostages to get his family back. Walter Stewart was a 21-year-old rising star and a bit of a nepo baby. His father was James Stewart, 5th High Steward of Scotland. The title High Steward of Scotland is currently the title given to the heir apparent of the United Kingdom, so Prince William. And after him, it will probably be Prince George. But 700 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was an important position, transferred from father to son in the FitzAlan family. It was so important that it became part of their personality. They changed their last name to Stewart and then to Stewart. And Walter Stewart was next in line for that job. Walter Stewart had done well for Robert at the Battle of Bannockburn, and he did well with the prisoner exchange. He handed over the English nobleman and retrieved the king's family. The king's sisters, Christina and Mary, who had been 28 and 24 when they were captured, were now 36 and 32, respectively. Queen Elizabeth had been 17 when captured and was now 25, and the king's daughter, who had been 10 years old, was now nearly 18, and she had been raised by English nuns. So what's a newly freed princess to do to acclimate back into society? She was married to Walter Stewart, the 21-year-old that had negotiated her release. This is the most relatable part to me. If I'm a teenage princess, kept in a nunnery for almost a decade, and then a literal knight in shining armor saves me and brings me home, I'm probably running off and marrying him. I know there are more feminist things she could have done, but I remember teenage me and I would have been all in. I would have been like, yeah, this is it. So Princess Marjory at 19 got married to the now 22-year-old Walter Stewart. And this marriage is the point that starts the royal line of Stewart, though the House of Stewart wouldn't be in charge just yet. The next year, 20-year-old Marjory was heavily pregnant. As the story goes, she was thrown from a horse and went into premature labor. Not too premature, though, because her baby survived. Marjory didn't, though. She likely died at the age of 20, just after having her baby, although some sources having her living to the next year, also falling from a horse in those stories, so we're not totally sure. She died young and just around the same age her mother had having her. She was survived by her husband, Walter Stewart, and her son, Robert Stewart, named after his grandfather, Robert the Bruce. And this baby would grow up to be King Robert II of Scotland, the first Stuart king. She was also survived by her father, King Robert I, who had seen both Marjory and her mother die young, just having had their first baby. And that is where I will leave it for now. What do you think about Marjory Bruce? Her story makes me sad. She would have no memories of her mother at all, and then just a short time with her father, and then put in captivity when she was 10. From 18 to 20, she was married and pregnant, but then her life, like her mother's, was cut short. You can share your thoughts with me at longlivethequeenpodcast@gmail.com or on Facebook or Instagram at Long Live the Queen Podcast. Long live to all the queens out there. Until next week, bye.
Will be remembered.
Thanks for listening.